All right. Hey, let's get started. Can everybody hear us or at least hear me okay? Or, do we need a microphone? Okay. You can hear? Okay. All right. That's right. Right. Thank you for being in the front row. All right. Again, good evening. So this is round two of Spectrum Town Hall. We had one in June and trying to.
Can we use microphone 101?
You want a microphone on, Dave?
No.
Yeah.
So that we can understand what you're saying.
Okay. So you want me to speak into a microphone? Is that better?
Bingo, bingo.
Okay. Okay. All right. So this is Town Hall number 2 with Spectrum. We have Buckley back, Buckley Andrews. He's the Spectrum sales director that is going to be working on our account. We have Ryan, who is our technical guru. Jeremy, who was here last time in June. He is out sick. Got a call from him. So he wishes he could be here, but he's out sick. Again, I think from a show of hands that we did earlier before Buckley and Ryan got here, the majority of the people are new. They didn't hit the June town hall. So again, that Spectrum handout, let's do this one from you.
Yeah, jump up.
This one is a recap from the June meeting. And we can go through that. I'll have Buckley kind of do a high level review of that. And then anybody new that has any questions on that, feel free to ask questions. A follow-up from the last one was an updated channel listing. We do have the updated channel listing back there. And I know we've already got some questions on that. So let's, we can do some questions after Buckley goes through the presentation. And then from there, I have some writing questions as well. But this is kind of your time with the Spectrum representatives here. We also have a summary of, the costs and the impact to Sandy Pines. And we also have the QR code in the back. If you scan your phone, that QR code will take you to all of the proposals, and then you can read the ballot for the Spectrum Internet. Okay, sound like a plan? Okay, did everybody get some Chick-fil-A before they came in? No? Yes? Okay. Okay. Well, I'm hoping they're still there after we're done. So I had not gotten a chance yet. So I'm going to turn it over to Buckley. He'll walk you through the presentation, what's going on here, why is it going on, and then feel free to answer any questions. I do have one. Can I see those real quick? Your pamphlets. So one technical question, because I know a lot of the members have it. So when we connect, Ryan, Samsung TVs that are 2 years old or newer?
A little bit older than that, about, more to get in the mic. So I believe that the cutoff is right around 2017, 2018 for the Samsung App Store to be able to support the Spectrum app. Anything newer than that will definitely work. Anything older than that or any other make and model, you can use a Roku to attach to it. And then that will get the Spectrum app for you for streaming.
How about LG?
I don't believe LG has our app available on it.
So that would be a Roku or?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right, cool.
The website themselves, anything to do with 2012.
2012 Samsung.
So we have a 2012 Samsung TV and it does not support the app, but we have a 14 and a 2015 Samsung Smart TVs and they do support the app.
Okay, that might be where the cutoff was at, where it started at 2012. I know that Samsung, not just Samsung, but all the manufacturers of televisions, especially with app stores, they kind of depreciate the support for the older apps. So I'm guessing that it had probably started off on 2012 and then got cut off to 2014, 2015, and then they'll be making, like a window of support as it goes forward. So I'm guessing it probably just got depreciated.
Does it work with Fire TV? I don't see that it's supported. People that said that you can do it.
So with the Fire tablets, With the Amazon tablets, it does support it. On the sticks, support for that is coming. It's being worked on in addition to a number of other platforms. So there's always more platforms that are being worked on. What I found out was a lot of it has to do with like contractual stuff. It's not so much the technology, but the licensing agreements between the parties.
Yeah, do you have what the lead time is on that?
I don't know, unfortunately.
Okay, all right. Buckley, go ahead. I'm gonna give another mic, or we'll pass around here when there's time for questions. And, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to stand. So let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Buckley Andrews. I am the Director of Spectrum Community Solutions for the Great Lakes region, which is Michigan, Northern Ohio, and Indianapolis. I'm from North Carolina, so if you don't understand my accent, I apologize. So I'll try to speak clearly. Jeremy Mason, who is my account executive, is my front man, and he would normally be here to present to you guys. Unfortunately, Jeremy tested COVID positive on Tuesday morning. So basically, he has to isolate for a week. So I'm going to stand in for him tonight, and I'll try to do the best that I can. Ryan Heimiller is my sales engineer based here in Zealand. So I'm excited about the opportunity to work with you guys. I'll try to run through this package for you. On the agenda, I just want to quickly tell you a little bit about who Spectrum Community Solutions are, a little bit about the product comparison between what you have now and what we're proposing. And then we can kind of get into more of the customer service comparisons and the Q&A. Spectrum Community Solutions, we are on the residential side of Spectrum's business. We actually have our own vertical, and all we deal with are bulk properties, which are traditional market rate apartments, senior properties, campgrounds such as Sandy Pines, mobile home parks, student properties, universities. That's all that we do. We have an entire organization dedicated just to these bulk residential properties. In fact, if you took Spectrum Community Solutions out of Spectrum, we would be the 5th largest cable company in the United States. We have about 15.4 million passings that we support. We have a full-time designated customer service team. We have our own legal department, our own product department. We have our own HR. We are our own entity. So we are much more designed to support a property like this than what has been happening in the past. The Sandy Pines has been supported in the past by our commercial team, and I really can't speak too much about the commercial team. They're not the way that the way that Sandy Pines has been supported in the past is like a giant hotel. Okay. The way that we're proposing supporting you is a traditional residential property. So you'll have a completely different suite of services and a completely different and a much more comprehensive services available to you, and also much more comprehensive support available to you 24/7. The channel lineup that you have right now is an old Clearquam channel lineup that essentially is no longer going to be supported moving forward. So what we're proposing is switching you over to our regular residential select channel lineup. In the handout, you can see the current lineup and a comparison to what the select lineup is going to be is highlighted in yellow, so it's a little bit easier to read. But what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this, because this is the actual accurate. I pulled this yesterday because when you go to our website to see the actual lineup for your zip code, you have to plug that in, and I was able to plug that in and print this out. So this is the actual. This would actually be the channel lineup that you would have. What is included in the bulk package is this TV Select lineup. There are multiple different upgrades. If you choose to, you can upgrade by yourself individually, and we can talk about that at the end if anyone has any questions about that.
Does it include all the ones that are in bold print?
It's everything that's TV Select.
Both the non-bold and the bold print?
So it's everything in yellow on this package here is what is included. But this one here is the accurate lineup for this zip code. This one is, I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate because this was just taken from just Michigan in general. So it's everything that says TV packages Spectrum Select from channel 3 all the way to channel 1950.
Why are some bold and some aren't? That doesn't.
That's just the way it came off. I don't know, on our website, when you look at our website, when you print it off as a PDF, this is the way it came out. So it doesn't really mean anything that I'm aware of without me having to talk to someone in product. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's right. Question,
Yes.
are we getting the same channels we're getting right now? Or are we losing channels?
I don't know. I have not had a chance. I apologize. I have not had a chance to compare the channel. There might be some channels that you are going to lose, but you're going to be getting a lot of additional channels.
Yeah, I've compared these, and I have 3 comments. There are a number of channels that we currently receive that are popular channels: Smithsonian, Science Channel, Cooking Channel. Some of these channels that we get currently are only in entertainment view. Secondly, all the channels that we currently get that are kids oriented, Disney Junior, Nick Junior, Disney XD, Big XD, Boomerang. These are all the channels that my grandkids watch. We don't get any of those anymore. So all the kids channels, in my opinion, are all going away unless you subscribe to the entertainment. And then thirdly, our current enterprise solution gives us 2 bundles. We get what's called the deluxe bundle. We also get the Sports View bundle, which is an additional 27 sports channels, including regional sports and tennis channel, golf channel, pack channels, SFTC channels. We don't get any of those channels either. Basically, all the sports channels are gone too, except for a few. There's a Fox Sports, there's a couple of sports channels. But the majority of all the sports channels are going away because they're in the Sports View package. That's become optional. It's not included in, today we get the sports bundle, now we're not going to get it. So I mean, those are my 3 comments about the changes in the lineup.
Okay.
People need to be aware of that.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I'm going to make a note. Entertainment View and the Sports View, they are, you would have to pay additional for that.
There's no way you can include that in the current cost that we're paying.
That's a discussion between Jeff and I. I mean, that's,
Because currently we're advertising $426, that's the base price. But in my opinion, you're kind of comparing apples and oranges because currently we get the sports channels, the $426 does not include the sports channels. Currently we get the kids channels, we're not going to get the kids channels. If you really want to compare apples to apples, the $426 has to include the cost for entertainment. Then you're really comparing apples. Then you're comparing the same channels we get today with what what do we get if we subscribe to these optional packages?
Yep, so we have that as a takeaway to do the channel comparison, right? So we'll have that as a takeaway to bring back.
go ahead.
The welcome letter, it says that there's a box that would be issued to each of his passes or whatever, but of course on the thing it says that it's only free, so Wi-Fi through the app, so.
So yes, as part of this package, you would get a set-top box. You can use the Spectrum TV app on any internet-enabled device. So you can rent additional set-top boxes, as many as you need, or you can just use the Spectrum TV app for any additional TVs or any additional internet-enabled device. I know that I went out and bought a Roku TV for my front room, and it has the Spectrum TV app on it. So
The same things on the streaming as you can in the box.
yes, so the way that the streaming works is that when you are in Sandy Pines, you get the entire channel lineup on the Spectrum TV app. If you are not in Sandy Pines, if you are anywhere else, you would also get but you get an out-of-home experience. So it's not all of the channels. It's I don't know. There's a certain number of channels that you would also get. So you could use the Spectrum TV app essentially anywhere.
That's what the channels side of Sandy Pines.
Yes, we have it. The out-of-home lineup is a little different. It's a lot smaller, and that's all down to program. Do you know what that number is?
So I believe it's about, it's about 80% of the full lineup. And the reason for that is because of contractual reasons, again, nothing any technical reasons or anything like that, but there's a contractual with, the content provider and Spectrum to where, it might not be in the agreement to allow for streaming at this point in time. But when the Spectrum app first started, it was at maybe 50%. But everyone is all the content providers are understanding this is, there's value to that. And so it is growing. So eventually.
What's that list so that we know it, have it, access to it?
Back. Yeah, so the question was, can we get that list? Yeah, we can request that list. In talking to Jeremy again, who's absent here, that was one question that came from the meeting last month was, can we connect and use the Spectrum app outside of Sandy Pines? It was, yeah, you can, no, we'll get back to you. So you can do it, you have to be connected to internet. So anywhere you can get connected to internet, Wi-Fi, you can use that Spectrum app. There is going to be a degradation in the number of channels. And from what I understand, it would be the local channels that would be gone because this is Michigan based. So Allegan, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo kind of area, those channels would go away if you try to connect while you're in Florida or either somewhere else. But we'll try to get the list for you.
Is ICW on the 500 meg here?
What's that?
Is Motuk on the 500 meg here?
I don't know 100%. It's in the process of, but I wouldn't be
And
able to.
also the ability to turn it to Spectrum homes, because we'll all be Spectrum customers.
Right.
And those are big advantages that people don't appreciate.
You stole my thunder.
I figured you'd get there.
Um,
Just about the box that you're talking about, everybody gets one box.
Correct.
That's a streaming box, correct?
That's a regular set-top box.
That's a regular set-top box.
Correct.
Because I have Xfinity in Chicago. Xfinity gave me a Flex box, Flex.
Mhm.
And I thought Charter Spectrum was going to use the Xfinity Flex box and also reuse that. That's a streaming box that they gave.
That's,
It's like
that's
a
correct.
Roku.
Yep,
But
yeah,
you're
that's
telling
correct.
me I don't get a streaming, you're going to give me a cable dot box.
Correct. You don't have to, you can, yeah.
So,
Yes, sir.
and you're gonna want to charge me $100, 99 for this box?
No, sir. You get one box included at no
One box
charge.
free with this.
Correct.
All right, so what would the, I'm not very good at math because it was a long time ago that I had. What would it cost me then if I wanted to upgrade to the entertainment and the sports? So that I can at least watch one of the sports channels, which would be golf and maybe game show, which they're taking away from me, the ones that I want to watch.
The upgrade,
What was putting together this hocus pocus channel selection there?
that's a corporate lineup. This is a,
CNN who's at the bottom of the list, but what if we don't want CNN?
yeah, the
That's
channel,
a huge one.
the CNN, okay. The channel lineup is, the Spectrum Select channel lineup is pretty much consistent across our enterprise. There are some small regional differences, but this is the channel lineup that we use pretty much across the entire US.
So it's gonna, how much is it gonna cost me if I want the sports and the entertainment?
$18.
Yeah, the next page,
Another $16, $18 a month?
yes, sir.
Yeah, but again, any of those, and Buckley, correct me if I'm wrong, any of those add-ons that you get on that list, you can get HBO Max, you can get the sports package, you can get those add-ons. The good deal about that is you can do that for 4 months here at Sandy Pines. And then if you don't want them, because you've already got Xfinity in Chicago during the off season or somebody else in Florida, you can cancel
Why do I
it.
think all this ninth?
So you can sign up at the beginning of the season. You can use this through the season. And then when you leave, you can.
I could cancel after 6 months.
For the,
coming,
for
but
the add-ons, those two channels, that would be added.
But I can't cancel.
No. Again, this is gonna
So
be,
now year round.
this is year round. We're moving from a
The
6
only
month,
thing that you can cancel is $18 a month.
anything that you add on. So again, to take a step back, those that are new here, how this is gonna work is Spectrum is you're gonna have really kind of two avenues with your Spectrum account. Spectrum is gonna set up Sandy Pines, as Buckley stated, similar to a residential. So you're gonna get your name, your address, Sandy Pines address, site number, and here's the package. And then you're also gonna provide your other information, your personal information, which is your permanent address. If you want to add those things on outside of the Sandy Pines package, they will bill you directly for HBO Max, the sports package. If you want to add another box, they will bill you directly. Those items that you get billed directly, you can drop at any time. The main package, which is in the assessment, that is going to be billed to Sandy Pines. And that's what you're gonna see on your renewal and on your bill from Sandy Pines. Does that make sense? Dave, good?
Now, is the whole park gonna have access to this immediately, or are we gonna have?
Yeah, somebody start from the beginning.
ones that
on how
can't
this
get
is
it
all
right
gonna
now?
happen.
Okay,
Yeah, we can address that.
yeah, so,
My understanding is we get one streaming box with the package.
That's correct.
yeah,
Okay, and what would be the cost for an additional box?
That's $6.99 a month, I believe, if you want to get additional boxes.
Right, if I want an additional box,
$6.99 a month.
it's 99.
Are these gonna- are these
Would
gonna
that
be
work
available?
on my- would that work on my LG TV?
Yes.
Now, that $6.99 will bill me individually?
Correct.
Every month? or
Correct.
every-
They will bill you individually every month. And then again, if you choose to cancel it, you can cancel it anytime.
That's shipping in your TV.
Fair point, fair point.
Are these,
So
are these gonna be available to the rental sites?
like the seasonals, or are you talking campsites?
No, the campers, you know?
So the 2162, that's kind of where we're at. The 2,162 are the member sites, right? So anybody that pays the dues are going to have access to this. Anybody that's not paying the dues will not have access to this. They can, if they want to, again, if they are a Spectrum customer and they have an app, they could connect to the internet and then they could get. They could get that.
So are you saying that if someone comes and camps on one of the campsites, they won't have internet or cable or anything at all?
They don't today.
Oh, they don't today?
They don't today.
Oh.
If no one takes.
They run on, I mean,
Now,
you see the golf carts lined up at the admin, right? They're tapping into the Sandy Pines gas. So to take a step back to your question in the back there, why are we here today with this package, right? So we have a every 2-year contract with Spectrum, okay? And that's been the process, before my time 3 years ago. We ran into Spectrum is stating that infrastructure here is no longer sustainable for them to provide a service to us. So we have old infrastructure here. If you think about it, there's 2 nodes, right? Right.
Yeah.
There's 2 nodes that everything kind of connects into and then goes out. To get the service that we want, we need to go from 2 to 9.
Yeah.
So we have to add 6 to 7 new ones. The cable, the modems, I mean, they heard it the last time. The modem connectivity, the modem service has just not been good. And it's not 100% a result of the infrastructure, but it does have a lot to do with the infrastructure. So they're no longer going to support us on what we have today. And that's a corporate business decision that Spectrum is making. So this package up front is, here is the proposal to go forward. They're going to invest in the park. They're going to put new nodes throughout there. There's going to be some additional cabling
Fiber.
and fiber going through the park. So what does that look like? If we vote yes, we have a 5-year contract that we will sign with Spectrum. And that's on the handout, and in the ballot, the color handout. There's a 5-year contract that we will sign with Spectrum. And over those 5 years, we have support on updated new equipment. They will get us a new modem. They will get us a box. They will get us a router. And right now, when we get service calls at the main office, there's 2 reasons we have service calls. The majority of the reasons we have service calls, I want to say it was 87% or more, is either, hey, I got a cable that's just laying on the ground. They call it a drop cable. They got to come out and they got to bury it. Or I can't get connected. What's going on? A lot of times when the technicians go out there, they don't have a good connection between the routers that we buy and the modems that are supplied by Spectrum. And those modems, or excuse me, those routers, that when we get some feedback from the technicians, it's a 2010 Netgear or Linksys or something along that lines, and it's just no longer compatible. We're going to get all new equipment. We're going to get additional nodes to tie into the park. That's what the proposal is. This is a 50-year-old park with 20-year-old cabling, I think, and it's just not good right now.
But the vast majority of the infrastructure in this park is the miles and miles of coax cable that interconnect the nodes to the individual sites through these interconnect pedestals. That doesn't change.
No.
You're not running fiber to every site. I mean,
No.
You're going to run fiber to the new nodes, and then from those nodes, it's still coax to all the sites.
That's correct. Yeah, what we're doing is just taking what's there and just multiplying it out. Just adding like about 10 times the capacity.
Right, no, I understand. So you're adding the CMTS nodes, I assume.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how deep do you want to get? So, yes, you're right.
The question I have too, you're making a 5-year commitment, you're putting in fiber optics in certain locations only to the main boxes, and your ad is like, at the end of 5 years, it's a business question. It's ours, so then we can set it out for a bid among multiple.
No. So again, it's kind of like what we have today, and we've been very transparent with Spectrum that there's been a challenge from a service standpoint. There's been a challenge from a connectivity standpoint. Before we got to where we're at right now, we called other companies and we've asked them, hey, come out and take a look at our park. Oh yeah, we do this all the time. We had one company called AspenNet. They came out, we do this all the time. We're really excited. They come out here, oh wow, you guys are a city. The largest company, or the largest campground that they have is around 300 sites. And okay, so what's it going to take to connect into Sandy Pines to do AspenNet?
I can appreciate that.
They own everything in this park. So if we go somewhere else, they have to get an agreement with Spectrum to connect to the Spectrum infrastructure to give us cable. And so now you've added another cost level into that.
But you're going to 5-year commitment, and part of the problems that you have right now is because they don't lay that cable more than 6 inches below the ground. And so you're constantly getting broken. I think if we're going to do this right, whenever they have to lay the cable again, because it's not hard to dig in some of the stand area, is to put it down at a respectful depth that you're not getting caught in a rape or cleanup crews. And if you, why a 5-year commitment?
Yeah,
So that's the way every cable company, Xfinity in Chicago buried my cable 2 inches under my sod too. And all the cable companies do it the same way.
So we have highlighted some of those issues from a construction and a technical standpoint. to, you know, hey, best business practice, how far down can we go? Because again, this is a 50-year-old site or a 50-year-old complex. You know, you talk to some of the maintenance guys and it's probably spaghetti, right? So we may need to go down a little deeper than 6 inches. That is something from a scope of work standpoint, we've given to them, and the plan is we would expect that to be executed. Okay, go ahead.
I was wondering, like for those of us who work from here, how is that going to equate for shutting us down and switching to the other?
Yeah, so good question. It came up last time as well. So at a high level, what we've talked about from a cutover standpoint is we would maintain our service and we would have a cutoff date. And the cutoff typically happens from like midnight to 6 a.m.
Correct.
So there would be a cutoff period, and that's how, I mean, we've got to get the details on how and when this is going to work. That came up from the last
We're talking about possibly a 6 to 12 hour
window. Yes.
Yeah, cutting over, we're getting way ahead, because I haven't even gone into the good stuff, but as far as executing on this, if you guys vote yes, and we sign the contract, there's going to be a heavy lift that has to happen from September the 1st to April the 15th. So my plan is what I've committed to Jeff. My plan is all of the key stakeholders in the state of Michigan, from the AVP of operations to the director of field operations here in New Zealand and the director of project management, we're going to be meeting weekly to make sure that this project will be executed. But as far as there is going to be some construction that was going to have to happen, it's our responsibility when we do any kind of fiber digs or anything to make sure that we put everything back to where it was prior. But as far as the cutover from what you have today to what we propose to do, and that will happen between 12 p.m. and 6 a.m. and it's going to be minimal interruption to any.
So what are we gonna get? New modems?
Yeah, so I was going to get into that next. This is
Yeah, so let's have Buckley finish going through the package.
So, yeah.
And we'll go from there.
So to this gentleman's point, the good stuff is really the internet package. So we've launched the advanced community Wi-Fi, we call it ACW. And we're providing, as part of this package, we're providing our ultra tier. So you get, as a bulk customer, you get an above market speed at a very, very good cost.
I sell 400.
This is going to be 500. This literally by the time you roll this out, I mean, we're going, I think it's August the 9th.
Yeah.
We're actually increasing our speeds. We have modems in our labs right now putting out 2 gigs. So it's just going to increase. So during the 5 years of this contract, when our ultra tier increases, you get that, all you'd have to do is reset your modem. But you get the ultra tier, which is, it's a $99. If you just want to buy it retail, it's $99. That's what we sell it for. But you also get the Wi-Fi 6 routers.
So is that a modem within a router?
Correct. And the nice thing about, and Ryan's my technical guy, but the nice thing about the Wi-Fi 6 routers is that they mesh. So it's almost that they manage the signal so that there's not conflict in the modems that you have today. If you drive, when I turn my modem on at home, right, I can see all my neighbors and our modems can speak to each other. These modems, like Google Nest, they speak to each other and they work with each other. So you're going to get a much different internet experience.
So how will we pick these up? Because
You can,
like that.
yeah, so you got 3 options.
We work.
Right.
In the theater.
You got 3 options. You can call up bulk care center and they will overnight you one. You can go pick one up. Or you can pay for a professional install. You got 3
So
options.
there's not gonna be a shortage of.
No, this is our regular residential ACW. Also, part of this package, just so you know, to this gentleman's point, when you are an internet customer with Spectrum, you can also get Spectrum Mobile if you want. So it's $29.99 unlimited data, right? You probably see our commercials. But the nice thing about that is that we call it the new internet. There are only 2 providers that can truly give you what we call the new internet, which is essentially, you can essentially have internet everywhere you are if you have mobile with us. Because anywhere there's a Spectrum AP, you automatically get a gig service on your cell phone at no charge. And as part of this package, we're actually going to be installing 90 common areas, and we're going to be installing APs around the park at no charge to the members. And you're going to be, so anywhere in the common areas in this park, if you vote yes, you will have a managed Wi-Fi AP, which will give you a personal area network to use on any internet-enabled device. So you're going to experience a much different internet experience here. And that's the good stuff, right? Because to your point, you know, the internet is with people working from home now. A lot more people are now choosing to work remote, and you need to have a quality internet experience.
So is this one unit, the modem router, or is it two separate boxes?
It's two.
Oh, it's two? Okay.
It's two.
Okay.
It's two.
Okay. So, do you have a specific model number? I mean, is it the Itron? Is it what are we getting at?
So Hytron and Eris are both vendors that we use. There's maybe 3 or 4 DOCSIS 3.1 modems that we're using right now. And then there's I don't have the make and model on hand, but there's a dedicated Wi-Fi 6 access point. Because what we'd found was that when the devices were together, if one went bad, then the whole thing had to be replaced. So by keeping it separate, if the access point needs to be upgraded, then we just change that and it's a lot easier. So it is a 2-box solution.
So I can use my own router if I want. I don't have to use your router.
If you want to.
Yeah.
Can I use my own cable modem? Do I have to use your cable modem that you're gonna give me, or can I go get my own cable modem?
As long as it is DOCSIS 3.1 approved, and which it should be. And then as long as it's been whitelisted in our lab, or at least that make and model, then it shouldn't be a problem. But I feel like you and I are going to be talking after this, so we can hammer that out.
I looked at the current batch of modems that we're currently distributing in this park, the current 200 networks that are members of that we're currently handing out. These all suffer from a known chipset problem. And there's lawsuits against the companies because of the chipsets. These modems lock up. They're highly unreliable. And yet they're being distributed. And even if you go to like the Spectrum stores, they're handing them out today. I don't want that modem. It's not a stable modem. And so that's why I asked the question, if you give me a modem that I don't like, can I just go get my own, get a better one?
That's
And
fine.
replace it and give you the MAC address?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
But you're giving us a modem,
Correct.
tower every 5 years or so. Right?
Potentially, yeah, potentially.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so on the internet, one of the issues we currently have with the current internet, the internet in our unit is great, but like when we get to the laundromat and there's nothing there, we have to have a Spectrum mobile phone to be able to get internet at the.
Yeah.
No, you don't. As part of our proposal, with the common areas that we're going to be providing a managed Wi-Fi hotspot. You don't need a Spectrum mobile.
Okay.
Any internet-enabled device can log on to.
Okay.
What I was saying about the Spectrum mobile is that what happens if you have Spectrum mobile as your service, it automatically gives you a gig speed boost on your phone. So it just gives you better service. That's all.
Okay, all right.
So
Yes, sir.
With, let's say the proposal passes. And in 5 years, the contract. Has there been a discussion on a limitation on the rates of the premium that have the service that we're having? Because once this proposal is approved, basically you are our own provider and you can set whatever price you want. And once everybody's comfortable having service, kind of locked in.
Yeah.
Everything that you want to charge.
So, I mean, that's a discussion that we have with Jeff, but your contract, you know what your rates are going to be for the next 5 years. What we will do from a business standpoint, once we get 18 months out, we're going to be trying to renew that contract. That will be a negotiation at that time. Absolutely.
But there'd be no limitation of what the premium could be after that 5 years, even though that there was discussion all the time. Kind of captive audience, right?
All I can say, I've been doing this for 22 years in this role. This is what we do. We want to partner with you. We don't want to lose your business, right? So we're not, if it doesn't make financial sense for you as our partner, you're not going to sign another contract with us. I can't talk about what is going to happen in 5 years. I hope that I'm still around to negotiate this contract in 5 years. But I mean, our goal is to partner with you guys and make it make sense for both of us when it comes to that. I hope that you vote yes, and I hope that this is a really, really good success for you guys. And I hope that you renew with us in 5 years. That's my goal.
So just real quick, to add on to that, let's take where we're at today, right? Our contract has expired, right? We've looked at other companies. We are kind of a captive audience. And rather than Spectrum coming in and saying, hey, you're a captive audience, I'm going to give you crappy modems, like Andy pointed out, for the next 5 years. And by the way, I'm going to raise your price by, 50%. They have come in and said, we're going to upgrade the equipment. We're going to give you new, better modems. We're going to give you better service. So your scenario that you just said in 5 years, we're kind of there right now. And they've already kind of started to work with us and give us some beneficial items. Yes, our costs are going to increase from if you have modems today, which, by the way, 1,600 modems are in the park out of 2,162 sites. So I hear a lot of, I don't need a modem. I don't want a modem. Nobody in the park wants modems. We don't care, vote no. There's 1,600 people here that have modems, okay? We're kind of where we're at right now. And if you add that modem cost and you add the cable assessment, that's what that one pager is that we hand out at the front desk. It's free, $328, I think we have on there. They are going to $426, but upgrading infrastructure, here's some other things that they're providing. They could have come in and said, you know what, instead of $426, it's $500, it's $600. There is, if you read that, there is a potential of minimal increases over that 5-year period, but we've kind of capped those as well and said, we're not going to do more than 6%. So that's something that, again, back to Buckley's point, we will continue to need to do our due diligence. And if they come in with a 6% increase, help me understand why. Get it down to 2, get it down to 3. So there's always that inflationary cost, but we're kind of at that point right now where, hey, I can double it and you guys can't really do anything about it. And they're working with us.
So devil's advocate question, what happens if this doesn't pass? Because, it's 50-50. You really get a lot of people that use the cable, you get a lot of people who use the internet, for some reason, people see benefits either way. It could go either way. What happens if it doesn't pass?
If we have individual sites within the park, just call Spectrum up and said, I want to just sign up as a residential service and just get residential service.
No, sir.
No, I don't think so. The condos can do that.
Condos can do that. Yeah, it's pretty much either this or nothing. And by the way, the operations also has to plug into, when you think about operations, public safety, the cameras around here, the gates, that's all connected to Wi-Fi, that's all connected to the internet. We're using all the Spectrum infrastructure to run the park. So if it's a no, trying to be positive and say, again, we've got 1,600 people that are using this, and it's a minimal increase. Right. Again, for those individuals, those 1,600, I do empathize with the individuals that are at. I just have cable. It's 128, I think, 136, 136. I do empathize with those individuals that don't have cable or internet, but the entire park runs on it. So if it's a no, and just being very transparent, I've already told the condos to, you can start working on a contingency plan with these guys. They've started that from an operations standpoint. We've already started working on a contingency plan. If the members vote no, we still have to run the business, and we're linked to them right now.
Is there a technical reason why every site has to take this package? Why maybe just the 1,600 sites can't say, well, we want it, and the other ones say, no, well, we're gonna opt out, we don't want this.
That's the old business model that we had, and Spectrum is not willing to support it because it doesn't fit their operational or their commercial footprint or package, right? Because we are a one-off today. You guys see it right now. It is a struggle to try and get technical support, right? So this right now is in a division that this is what they do day in and day out, and they know it and they support it. Whereas if it's a one-off, we'll kick you down the road.
So can we get the channel issue addressed before our vote? I mean, I know that the channel issue came up.
I took that as a takeaway. So we'll try and, we're going to try and do another one of these in August. So we'll try and get that updated and out to the park. You had a question in the back.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
First one is, we currently are supplies television for every site. So if, for example, I own 2 sites. One has a trailer on it, one is empty.
Uh-huh.
I have to pay for TV on that site right now.
Yes.
Am I now also going to have to pay for internet on that site?
Yes. Yep.
So,
Anybody that's paying dues, 2,162 members.
okay, my other question is going back to the beginning where I think this whole thing should have started today, is take us from the beginning. How is this going to be implemented, the crossover, and when?
Right. So we started to touch on that a little bit. Vote needs to go August 20th. We vote yes. Everybody says, "Woo, we're going to go this route." All right. I call Spectrum, say it's a yes, we're going to move forward. They draft a contract. We are putting a timeline together with, back to Buckley's point, you got to get construction crews out here. We have to start meeting every week. We're going to be looking at the infrastructure, where we're going to start. They're already starting to work on a plan as to, do we start phase 1, do we start phase 2? We don't have that plan set yet. They are working on that. The implementation of this is going to really be September 1. We're going to kick this thing off, and we need to be operational by April 15th. That's when we open. And there's a lot of things that we need to get done in between there.
So before April the 15th, we are all going to have all new modems and routers.
So good question.
That's where
But-
we're here.
Yep, by April 15th, again, so we haven't gotten there in the presentation, but there's a welcome letter that will go out, and we're going to parallel path, do the same thing, 11 things at the same time. You'll get a welcome letter. You're going to have to set up an account with Spectrum, and that's your Sandy Pines address and your Sandy Pines account, and then your permanent address. If you want to do any of those addresses, you have to do both. You cannot use Sandy Pines as your permanent address. Once that is set up, then they will communicate back to you, we have you in the system, thank you. How do you want your equipment sent to you? Do you want your equipment sent to you directly? Do you want to hook that up yourself? There will be a fee for this. Do you want to have it delivered directly and hooked up for you? All of that will be kind of walked out and ironed out during the time you set up your account. Then you get your equipment, it gets installed, and then we start the cutover process.
So does the old work on the new equipment?
No, all the old stuff. So again, that's
So we won't have any service?
Again, what we are going to do is you're going to continue to use your old equipment until you get your new equipment, and there's a cutover period, right? So we can have all of this stuff picked up or shipped to you directly, and we're going to have a communication as to, everybody has to have their stuff installed by X date. And then on X date at midnight, between midnight and 6 a.m., we're going to have a cutover. That we're still ironing out those details. but that's how that's gonna get turned over.
I would expect that as these new nodes get installed, existing sites that are on the current two nodes are gonna get rewired, and now we're gonna start talking to these new nodes, correct? And these new nodes are not gonna understand my MAC addresses and my old modem, they're not gonna give me any service. They're only gonna give me service if I'm talking to the new modem.
And you're absolutely right, and that's why it's done in the off season.
But I'm not expecting over the off season to have any internet. I expect sometime in October, November, when you start deploying nodes and rewiring everything, that all the internet's gonna go down in this park. I don't expect that any off season.
Is that true? Because then you got a number of people that are here in season all.
All I can say is, and this guy obviously is I know him just enough to be dangerous when it comes to technology. But I can tell you that I have a commitment from our commercial team to support this park until we are ready to cut over.
Okay.
So you are not going, the commitment that has been made to me is that no one that wants service is going to lose any service until we are.
You cut over and then
Correct.
for that period of time.
Because we will not put the park into billing
Right.
until we turn the park over, which will be, the goal will be April the 15th.
Right. And that needs to be communicated. If the other information that Andrew's got just went through, then it's going to get social media and say, oh, we're not going to have that. And that influences people to vote one way versus the other. Where we need to let the membership know that just what you said, no interrupted service until we're ready to turn the channel. And that period of time might be 6 to 12 hours. They have time.
Right.
Ready to turn back.
The commercial team, I mean, I hate to say this, but they're almost like a different company, even though we're Spectrum. But the commercial team will be part of our project team. There'll be Jody Brengman, who is the director up in Traverse City. She'll be one of our partners in this whole, because we have a heavy lift. We have 28 miles of plant in this site that we're going to be enhancing. It's not, it's not 200 unit, one building. So there's going to be a heavy lift.
Is there any way to have an overlap implementation so that the existing new nodes continue to understand?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the
Yes and
design
no.
is.
Yes and no.
Yes or no?
Yes and no. So I was gonna say, like, after this, when it comes to a more technical discussion, we can definitely dig into it. But I feel like we got a lot of other broader questions we got to get moving after this. Come on up and I'll talk until my voice goes out.
I'm able to use my existing Spectrum account at St. Barnes, or am I going to start a new account?
You're gonna have to start a new account, and it's gonna be specific to the same content.
Yeah, on that, starting a new account, I have a question because I had Spectrum in Florida, I had Spectrum here, and I had Spectrum. If I were to call Spectrum because I needed service somewhere, they will ask me if it's my residential or my business account, because Sandy Pines is actually considered a business account when I call in.
Right now it
How
is.
is this going to be handled now? If they're billing us directly for certain things, and Sandy Pines is basically a business account and everything else.
We have two billing systems. We have a commercial billing system and we have a residential billing system. This will be residential.
Okay, so I will have two residential accounts and my phone account, that's basically what you're talking.
So if you're an existing Spectrum customer today,
Yes.
yeah, you would have another residential account as Sandy Pines.
So it's going to cost me twice to do business with Spectrum, once here and once in Florida. So
Yeah,
I can pay twice as much, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, then, Steve, you kind of got that today, right? You have the same thing today.
You know, but I don't.
Well, come on, I mean, that's, look, I have the same thing. I pay here and I pay when I'm in the house.
By the way, if you are not a Spectrum customer today, if you will be new, you can also order all your services and do everything online. You don't physically have to talk to someone if you don't want to.
In the back, yes.
So we have you to finish your presentation for at least 15 or 20 minutes, if that's what you need, before we ask any more questions.
Yeah.
That would be proper.
I think I'm finished with the presentation.
I think it's good. So.
Does everybody get a new cable modem? I mean, everybody? Yeah. And the reason I ask is because the current cable modems with the new batch we just got, those are DOCSIS 3.1. modems, they're gigabit speed. Are you gonna replace those two? Or
Not necessarily.
If you have a DOCSIS 3.1, then you don't need to.
Not necessarily, yeah. I mean, what we're gonna do is find out which ones do need to be replaced and then the remaining number in order to, get everybody one. So it's not gonna be, new modems for everybody, no matter what.
The microphone, please.
I couldn't hear what you said.
All right, I apologize. I got hit in the throat and it's extremely sore. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find out how many DOCSIS 3.1 modems are currently here. And then those are going to support the latest services. And so if there's any other modems that need to be replaced, those are the ones that are gonna get replaced. And then any of the other residents that don't have one, then they will also get a DOCSIS 3.1. So it's not gonna be a full one-to-one replacement of everything, just of what's needed.
Yes.
I have a few questions since we were late getting here. So this begins on April 15th. When does the billing for this begin?
The billing would be in your dues in October,
So this October.
this October. Yeah.
And how do you have your own account?
Hold on.
And we would be charged this through the winter, or we have the option of shutting it off and not being charged?
Well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have two separate things, right? You're gonna get billed with your dues as an assessment for the 426. That's the Sandy Pines corporate account. They're gonna start building that corporate account for us. September, October, they're gonna start billing that, all right? The other stuff that you want to shut down and you want to order online or order in addition to this package, that's not going to be available until April 15th. So you're going to get your dues with the new assessment, and that's where that account is going to start going for Sandy Pines only.
Okay, so there's not another.
It's part of the dues. It's very similar to what we have with the cable right now.
Okay, what about the equipment running? Is that included also?
So the equipment that we talked about, you're gonna get a modem, you're gonna get a router, one cable box if you want it, and then anything outside of that, we had questions on, DERs, can we record? That's additional. You want additional channel packages, that's gonna be additional.
Okay, and then so is the park on a contract then with Spectrum, and can we expect these rates to go up or?
So the park will have a 5-year contract. If this gets approved, the park will have a 5-year contract. And Spectrum does have the ability to raise our rate over those 5 years. They're capped at 6%.
That's 6% total, 6% a year.
Potentially 6% a year.
Wow.
So we can't get out of it, they can raise the rate.
What's that?
We can't get out of it, they can raise the rate.
We can't get out of it over that 5-year period. Yes, they can raise the rate.
Our internet bill was currently billed sort of, well, the condos are billed quarterly, and in here we're billed
Twice.
Twice.
Yep.
And we're upgrading the internet, so why can't this get billed like we're currently building the internet instead of putting it in our dues? Because a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, I got to pay for this on October, but I don't get the service until next spring. That doesn't seem right.
Well, two things. One, when we do an assessment, Andy,
Yeah.
you understand the assessment advantages. So the assessment advantages are, when Sandy Pines puts an assessment out there, we don't get taxed on it. Okay, so that's an advantage overall for the park. Number two, the whole splitting of the billing has created accounts and the account difficulties with, is this the cable TV? Is this the internet? It's all gonna be lumped together. So it's all gonna be streamlined. Kelly, you had a question?
No, there was a part of the
Okay,
quarterly.
okay, in the back, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you.
Thank you. But the only thing I wanted to bring up is you made a statement about if we were gonna add services, we had to have a permanent address. Well, we have Unibox here and we switched our address back and forth. So technically, Unibox is the number we would give for the building company to come to us directly. Otherwise, it gets forwarded Why wouldn't I have it at my unit and then change my address?
Because you can't use the Sandy Pines unit or Sandy Pines mailbox as a permanent address. You can't, you have to have a permanent address. So you have a couple of options with that, right?
I'm sorry.
You have a couple of options with that on your permanent address, which cannot be a Sandy Pines address, mailbox, site number, is either A, it does get mailed there, and we do have people that have their mail forwarded here to that mailbox. B, you get your bill online. And those are the two ways you can get your bill.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
What if this is not so true? What is that gonna mean for the administration? All the business offices and everything is in that.
We are currently working on a contingency plan for that. We would have to, because all of our, we get a nice price for bundling everything, the operations, and that would be very similar to the condos. That would have to be split out, and now we have to renegotiate that price. And
Did you say that everybody is going to have their own account with Spectrum?
yes,
Now, if you don't add any services, how do you get your own account? If it's all through the Sandy Pines assessment, how do you get your own account?
so again, when you get that welcome letter, it's gonna tell you that you have to call in a number and you have to provide your site number for the Sandy Pines. Because what's gonna happen is when this gets voted yes, we start building the Sandy Pines account. And the Sandy Pines account will have all 2,162 member sites in there with names and site numbers. You're gonna call in once you get your welcome number, say, hi, I'm Mrs. Smith, Sandy Pines, my site is 4320. They're gonna go into the system, they're gonna say, all right, I see you, I have an account there. Now I need a permanent address for you to add, almost like when you go to a hotel, you gotta put a credit card down for any ancillary product that, you know. So you'll have to set up that account as well.
What does it do?
If you want to add anything else to that, you want to do HBO, they bill you directly. Because the 2,162 member sites, that gets billed to Sandy Pines.
Right.
And how, and so that's why you need two different accounts. You need an
That's what I
account.
said, though, if you don't add anything to it, why do you need symbols?
They still need to have you put that information in the system. Okay. Yes.
I've had a couple questions concerning fees. You talked about, we could either have this equipment sent to us or we could pick it up someplace. If I install it myself, what's the charge? If I have Spectrum install it, what's the charge?
Good question. Good question.
You want to answer that, Buck?
So a professional install costs $49.99.
And you said I thought you said there was a fee for it being sent to you?
No, there's no fee.
No fee for that, okay. And earlier on, several of the gentlemen asked about compatibility with TVs and service and so on. How do we know if our existing television will be compatible to the new system?
So are you talking about using the Spectrum TV app or are you
I
talking
know
about?
nothing about the Spectrum app.
Any TV is going to be compatible with our.
Yes, I was just gonna say,
Buy an app.
No.
no, so as long as the television has an HDMI port, it's gonna be new enough to support a device one way or the other to be able to do it. Any brand, any brand.
HDMI, yep, HDMI.
HDMI, yep.
Just a minute, wait a minute. Everybody's talking at the same time. Would you finish your statement, please?
Yeah, so as long as the television has an HDMI port, there are like a Roku streaming stick that you can get worst case, or you can connect the cable box to it through HDMI. It's just the standard video cable that's been around for quite a bit now, or quite a while, 10, 15 years. Well, longer than that, but anyway, yeah, exactly, that right there. And so it's a standard across all the TV brands. And so anything that plugs into that is going to get you video.
Okay, so if I have three televisions, okay, I get one cable box. No charge, correct?
Correct.
And you told this gentleman earlier it was $6.95 a month. It's not printed anywhere about
Right.
cable boxes. You have to have a cable box for each television in order to get that TV to work, or one cable box will get all 3 TVs to work.
So you've got two different options for getting video. You can use the regular set-top box, much like, and you probably have today. It connects in with the coax and then HDMI, and then you get video that way. Another option is using the app that you can stream using the internet. So that it wouldn't be something that it would be through us. So it would be like a Roku that would be purchased, or it might be something that's on the television if it's newer.
What is this Spectrum app cost?
It's free.
It's part of it. It's included.
You can go next.
Yes.
So I apologize for being late. You guys probably already covered this, but I'd like to know what happens if they vote no. You know, if we vote no on this, what is going to happen?
So everybody in the park will not have TV or internet. Condos will have to go on their own separate package, and the operations will have to go on their own separate package, which will probably increase the cost.
And the park members cannot go on their own package.
No.
So we'll have to do like streaming and buy a hotspot.
Yeah, and we talked about that at the last meeting. You know, while I was waiting for my modem, I have Verizon unlimited data. So I was connecting with a hotspot, I was streaming, but you still have a cap on that. And when you hit that cap, even though they say it's unlimited,
It slows way down.
it starts slowing way down. So if you're trying to stream, you know, it'll start freezing up the TV, and then you get the circle that just continues to do this, right? So the hotspots, which people have tried to use before and are using in the park, they're okay to a point. So that would be, if this votes no, then the next option, if you guys want to stream TV, is going to be a hotspot.
Yeah, but I can tell you as a cellular software development engineer who writes the software for those cell towers, that if 1,000 people all try to stream on a hotspot at tower, you can forget about it. That will never work. Those towers do not have anywhere near the frequency bandwidth capacity to handle anything near that.
Right.
So, yeah, it works good for a handful of people doing it, but
Right.
not.
Yes.
Jeff, I'd like to have you clarify something that you mentioned just a little while ago. You were talking about this 5-year contract and that the fact that if the vote is yes, at a certain point, Spectrum can go ahead and start raising our rates. Now, is that after the first year? Or could they immediately do it?
No, the first year is going to be live, right? So what we do from a commercial standpoint and operational standpoint is at the end of every season, our contract is up October 15 with Spectrum. It was every 2 years. They actually, just to give you guys again a little background, that contract, that contract expired last October. And they said, hey, we're no longer going to do the old way. Here's the new way. Bring in Buckley, Jeremy. Hey, this all sounds good. All right, you have to assess your membership, and we're going to start now. Time out. An assessment means a vote, right? So from there, we renegotiated 1 more year. And that ends October 15, and we're continuing to talk about, okay, coverage while we start working on upgrading and cutover and things of that nature. We're not going to lose any service or get any interruptions. Every fall and before we come back, we have a review with Spectrum. How was the service? What's the modem count? So we have what we call kind of like a business review. That will continue. The first year, the pricing is locked. After year, so when you go into year 2, they could come in and say, hey, in this area, this region, the rest of their customers have seen a 10% increase. We want to give you a 10% increase. Time out, we're capped at 6.
Can you cap that at the rate of inflation?
Right now. Not a good idea right now. Right. So, we've already kind of got the commercial agreement set with, if this gets voted on, we've already agreed that the cap is at 6%. Now, it could come in at, 3%. This is where we would negotiate that in the fall for the upcoming price. Okay, now you as a member, we actually are gonna have to tweak that where our business review has been taking place in October and then really, I want to say February or March, right? The assessment and the dues are going to come out in October. So after year one, we're going to have to pull that business review up because we're going to have to get that in the budget to say, hey, what is that? So we're going to have to tweak our normal process. So there's that.
Okay, my thought there though was, I know some of these people are in charge, and with the statement, the way we made it, they're gonna look at, at the end of the first year, it's 6%. By the time we're at the end of 5 years, it's gone up 24%.
Right.
So.
And I've already got that question, come across my desk. I mean, theoretically, do the math. Yeah, they could do that. The expectation is we sit down and we negotiate every year. And if they have an increase in the region, we've got to make it as minimal impact to Sandy Pines as possible.
Well, yes, because at the end of that 5 years, Sandy Pines could say, okay, fine, we're done with this contract. And then they're gonna say, well, the equipment is ours, so you guys are on your own. And then we're right where we're at today.
Agreed. Yes.
I just want to clarify the cable boxes. I think I know the answer to this, but if you have just one box and you have 3 TVs, they all have to watch the same channel with one box?
Nope, yeah, it's gonna be one box per television. And so, whatever television one is watching, the other ones won't be able to watch that at all because there's not gonna be any source of video coming to those other televisions.
Yeah.
Do we need cable in our house for this? And maybe the cable box, the cable that comes in now, we can just connect that? You don't have to have a special cable coming in?
Nope, same thing.
I will admit, I'm really old fashioned, so I still have 2 cable boxes in my house. But when we look across our footprint, the average cable boxes per household is now less than 1. Because most people are now streaming and they watch video.
I got none.
You guys are quite right behind, sorry, Andy, right behind.
Yeah, I have a question on your, clarify your not, I think you call it not at home lineup.
Correct.
And so if I'm not at Sandy Pines and I'm at home, I could actually use that at my house.
Yeah, you have an internet connection.
Right.
You could use that. And again, we'll have to confirm what that lineup is. But what I understand based on Jeremy's feedback is you would get that select lineup minus like the 15 or 16 local channels.
And you will get that lineup to us before the vote. Because to me, I'm happy with what I got right. But if I can eliminate what I got at home, I'll save me money.
Right.
I just want to clarify the question about HDMI input on TV. You don't necessarily need that.
No.
You can go on Amazon and buy an HDMI RCA converter.
No,
So
absolutely.
if you just have RCA inputs on your TV and you don't have an HDMI input, you can buy a converter that'll plug it in. And it'll still work on even on an old TV.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Again,
absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely converters for everything. And so you're 100%. Yeah.
You only charge 50, I charge 200.
When I asked the question about 3 TVs, how many boxes would you have there? And you told me 1. They just asked over there, you said 1 per TV.
Yeah, one per TV.
When I asked about 3, you said TV 1. I was just curious.
All right.
So if I have 2 TVs, I have to rent 2.
Well, we'll decide that. We'll decide in a second.
Get a Roku for the other 2.
I don't know where Roku is.
There's a little thing that you plug in the side of your TV and you plug in the wall and I can download the app for you. You can watch your TV. That I can do on my own. You just have to buy your.
Yes.
I have 4 TVs out here. Because the TVs in the wall on the porch, okay? So you're telling me that I need to have 4.
Four devices.
Four devices.
So again, back to the comment, your options are, you could get 3 additional boxes. One is free. You can get 3 additional boxes.
At $6.99 a month.
At $6.99 a month. Or, again, what I do at my house is I have a Roku, I do have the Roku stick, and you download the Spectrum app, and then you can connect it that way. That Roku acts as a box. I don't know if Apple TV does as well.
It does.
We're not yet.
So thank you for bringing that up. I was just going to say, so you have the option of renting for $6.99 or the low end Roku streaming stick is about $30, just purchased outright. So one way or the other, there has to be a device connected to the television in order to receive the video. Whether it's a set-top box that's rented, or a Roku streaming stick, or an Apple TV, or game consoles, Xbox, PlayStation, things like that. Chromecast also, yep.
Or even a smart TV.
Some smart televisions have it built in, like some of the newer Samsungs. So yeah, there's a number of ways to get, a device that has the app on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a set-top box, but each television needs one device connected to it one way or the other.
Unless the TV has it built in.
Right.
So I really think somebody at St. Times needs to put together a whole series of, here's all the different ways, because there's obviously dozens of different ways to do this.
Would you like to do that?
Yeah, see me after class. You knew that was going to be the answer. So you and I can spend some time in the next couple of weeks, and we can. I'm serious. We can go through it because you are on the same level as the technical people here, and we just gotta write it in crayon for the rest of us, right?
I just got a promotion to engineer. That's great.
You see a series of pictures and go, well, you can do it on a Roku TV, you can do a streaming box, you can do it on your phone and redirect it to your TV, or there's just dozens of ways of doing this.
Right.
Everybody's gonna do it, or you get a cable box, or so people just need to see, okay, here's all the different ways. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it this way, or and here's the wiring, and here's how I connect it up.
We can talk after class. All right, I'm going to take the last one back there.
I mentioned that I have 4 TVs here, and that's why I asked that question.
Yep.
But I have 5 TVs at my home in Florida, and I have 1 box of Spectrum.
What do you have? A whole house DVR? What do you have? No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was answering him.
So do you have a whole house DVR? Is it in Florida?
I have my Spectrum box and my nephew has it.
So you have one box and it works for all your TVs?
Yes.
What kind of box is that? It's a whole house
We
DVR?
have quite a contract which you should discuss with Spectrum for our
Yeah.
part down there also.
Yeah.
Quite a bit different than.
Where you live in Florida?
Right.
Bradenton, which is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so
In between Tampa and Port Charlotte.
there are technical ways of doing that, but that is out of the scope of this class.
Right. So, yeah, James.
So, sorry for being late. So real quick, on the agreement that we had for year 1, after year 1 is over, it's done. What is the cap for the next year and the next year?
6%.
6% each year.
So no greater than 6% for how many? Is that
For the remainder of the 4 years.
And then we as a member in our window?
So
Because
TBD on that, right? So again, if there's, one of the reasons why we have the assessment right now is because we can say, hey, this is going to be an operational thing throughout the park. There's a cap where we can go to the park and say, we're going to assess everybody. If it goes above that cap, which this does, then we would have a revote. So after the 5 years, they have to provide us 6 months notice, or we have to provide them 6 months notice. So really 4.5 years, we have to let them know we want to cancel, or they have to let us know they want to cancel. And then we would start renegotiating any pricing.
But it's the hardware, it's the individual stuff that I'm concerned about, because you say 6%, but if we have individual parks that they're charging us directly, and they decide to increase that by 50% or whatever, that 6% means nothing to me personally. to be honest with you, and I think that's a matter for most members. It's the actual hardware price that you're directly charging me above and beyond the assessment, because what most people are concerned about,
So we're not,
and I would caution you a little bit about that.
we're not charging any hardware. What we're charging is, again, the stuff the stuff that would go within that 426. That includes all of your hardware and everything of that nature, right? What I heard you say is anything outside of that, the only thing outside of that would be like your HBO and the other apps. Additional cable boxes.
Right.
Yeah, things of that nature. I mean, that's a fair comment, but back to what Ryan had stated. If you do the math, do you wanna do $6.99 a month for a cable box? And let's say they wanna double that after a year. $6.99 times 12 months is X. Go buy a Roku for $29.99 because that acts as your cable box.
So that doesn't change your accessibility.
No.
That's example.
No.
What I'm getting.
Yeah, no, we just went through that with and I know you want to late, but Roku and there's other things that Andy is going to give us a list on. That we can connect to. So, yes, great.
So how is that price increase going to be billed to us? Is it going to be an additional assessment every year, or is it going to be an increase in dues?
Your assessment would start at 426, and then let's say there's a 6% increase. Then it would go from 426 to 426 plus the 6%. So it would be.
You can add on to assessments, or do you have to actually do a separate assessment?
No, you don't have to do a separate assessment. No.
About $26 more a year, it's at 6%.
Right, and then.
So we do have.
We're just going to add that to the current 426.
Yeah,
we just it'll be 432. But isn't the vote right now, people are going to assume that they're voting 426.
So
for 5 years.
If you read the ballot states 426 with the potential of a 6% increase year over year. Yeah, and it's capped, it's capped at that, right? So Larry, last one, and then I want to get to some of the writing questions.
So the contract is going to be from April of 23 to April of 2028.
No, the contract would be really, October is when we do our contracts, because that aligns with our fiscal year. So the contract would be October 1 to September 30th. That's our fiscal year. And in order to get them their funding from corporate, get their construction people, that needs to be starting in October so they can do the work in the off-season. That's why it's going to be billed on the dues at 426. Our contract has always been October to September, basically. And I don't see that changing. Okay, I do have some writing questions real quick. Let's see, site 0797, are you here? Okay, why is the proposal like an ultimatum, all or nothing? A no vote results in no case where impact. That seems a bit absurd and is an example of strong arming. Why not leave things as they are? If the price increase is needed, we'll just state it. I think we addressed that. The infrastructure here is old and it needs to be replaced. And in order to do that, they have to have an investment and they have to have a time period and here's the cost. So that's kind of where we're at. Site number 4310, if this goes through, how will this work? I have issues with my internet and it took a week for a technician to come to my site. If everyone in the park has it a bit longer, will be a bit longer, and how can you promise that it will work better for those of us that work from here? Issues were not resolved. I still do not have internet. Said my router was the issue, but what is security going to be like if everyone is on? So again, technical, but I think you want to answer that one, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. Thursday here. Okay, so, yeah, one of the, and someone had commented earlier about, how right now Sandy Pines is considered a business account. So one of the changes that we're going to be doing is changing it from a business account into residential. And so right now, part of the reason why the techs have are having difficulty, servicing everybody in a timely fashion is really just a logistics issue. There's only a certain number of techs that are in the area, and then locating and going back and forth and a lot of the driving. It's just a physics issue, it's just a logistical issue. So when we move to a residential type account, the techs are going to be a lot more aware and have the correct equipment. They're going to know like, this lot is in phase 2 and number so-and-so, instead of having to go to the front, have to wait for someone else to show them where they're at. Hopefully that's the right site, not have to go to the other side of the lake, go all the way around. I've heard the horror stories from a lot of the techs. And so, one of the things it's really going to do is help streamline the process for the techs. Now, part of the issues as well is because of the aging infrastructure. And so once that is addressed, then that it's going to cut down on trouble calls and issues as well. So there's a number of things that are going on that are going to be addressed to help ease this.
And again, the process that we have right now is not the greatest. A lot of the members call front desk, member service, add me to the list. Then we have to actually sometimes build the schedule, call Spectrum, when can we get, 1, 2 technicians out here? And then when they come out, they're here within a specific time frame. And then they try to call and say, hey, are you going to be at your site? I'm here. Well, you're at the pool or you're at the golf course. This is going to be direct where you're supposed to be able to call directly into them, set up your appointment. I'll be there in between 3 and 4, 3 and 5. I'm going to narrow that window down a little bit for you guys. But it'll be a direct service because they're going to have all of your direct account information. So I think we've addressed this one as well. K77. I see most of the sports channels that I watch now are not included in the new lineup. Big Ten Network, Bailey Sports for Tigers, Red Wings, Golf Channel, Fox Sports. What channels are included in the sports package that cost $6 a month? And how can we get those sports channels back? So we got a channel takeaway to try and get that resolved.
It's like Big Ten and Bailey are in.
I don't have the channel list here in front of me.
It's like the dollar.
I'm looking right now, Big Ten.
Okay.
In Michigan, we support
Thank you for that clarification. Site 1086, why does this have to be an all or nothing? We've already went through this. Let's see, site 208. There are many options for cable customers on mobile devices and streaming services as long as you have a name and a password associated with your cable provider. Is there any way we could have access to these services? If so, would there be a general name and password for home member, or would we all set up our own individual name and password? You're going to have your own. You're going to have all your own individual accounts. We're not gonna have one mass login for Sandy Pines members. You're gonna have your own account. K420, if we can get Spectrum cable and internet at Sandy Pines, can I cancel my other home YouTube TV service that we use all year and use the streaming service Spectrum TV app at Sandy Pines and at my home to watch TV? I think this would be great if we could stream Spectrum TV at both locations, home and here. I think we've addressed that as well. Depending on where you're at, we use some of the local channels. So the answer is yes. D162, can we opt out for internet and not cable? At home, we use streaming and don't use cable. Are we paying for year-round or seasonal 6 months? So this is going to be year-round. That's how we got to the 426 number. It is going to be year-round. There is no real opt-out. And Buckley, I don't know if you or Ryan wanted cable TV, streaming TV. I mean, this is really upgrading to away from cable TV.
Right, and so traditionally, cable, that, the word is, the idea behind it is like the set-top box, but it's transitioning into the video content itself. So much like Netflix, much like Hulu or any other streaming platform, what you're paying for is not the box. What you're paying for is the content stream, whether it comes over a set-top box, whether it comes, streaming over the internet, doesn't matter. It is being paid, or you're paying for the video content.
Thank you. Site 4006, if I have Spectrum service at home, can I get a cost savings having in both locations, home and senior cost? I would love to say yes on that, but they're going to be two separate accounts. Will I have Wi-Fi service through the entire park, no dead spots? Can I add a second modem to run from my house?
As soon as I saw this question, I'm like, oh boy. So there's no real way that we're going to be able to do 100% coverage in 100% of every square foot across the entire park at all. Now, with that said, though, with the Wi-Fi routers that everyone's going to have, you're going to have good coverage within your house, within your unit, with all the common areas that we're bringing, we're bringing in was about 90 or so. They're all going to have a very good Wi-Fi experience there as well. Not going to be able to get a good Wi-Fi out in the middle of the woods behind a bunch of trees, unfortunately, just because the infrastructure to get out there. Yeah, absolutely.
I would imagine so.
Absolutely, yes. But I did just want to clarify that, the comment said no dead spots. As long as it's a building, a common area, your lot, by all means, yes, that will be good, but it's not going to be, no dead spots anywhere. There are, behind a tree way out in the woods, you might not get the best service out there.
Right, quick question.
Yeah, good question. But everything is going streaming. And most people could get a modem and a router. Why the charge for a cable box? Because cable box is basically
Great. Yeah, no, the way people consume video is changing, right? My kids, they
changed overnight. Yeah.
They watch video on this. They don't even watch the TV. But there is no charge for a box. That's included in the package.
So I guess my question was then, we're not being charged for that $6.99 for that first cable box.
No, there's no charge rate. There's no charge for you get one box free. You don't have to get the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to get the box. If you just use the app, you don't need a box.
Correct. Thank you, Ryan. All right, next site. Let's see, I currently owe park dues at $136 per year for TV. The proposal states that TV and internet will cost $426 per year. Will the park increase by $290 per year just for this change? It's going to go from for somebody that doesn't have internet with that modem, yes, you're going to see a larger increase. It's going to be the one-time assessment at the beginning of the year with your dues. It's going to replace that 136 for cable. And if you don't have internet, yes, it's going to be a larger increase. All right, bear with me, we're almost done here. K45, will all current channels be included in the basic package? Describe the conversion process. Will we have to install a new modem? So what kind of support will be provided? I think we've addressed that question. Site 314, will all the cabling going into everyone's house be replaced? Will we be required to have a cable box for each TV function?
So all the cabling is not going to be replaced. However, if there are issues, then yes, it will be replaced. So if it's good today, then there's no need to replace it. We can move on to another one. However, if there are issues, then by all means, we will replace it.
How do you know if there's issues or not? We've had terrible service this year.
Mhm.
Our internet has been in and out, TVs have been in and out. I mean, they've been out and worked in our area 4 or 5 different times, and we're still having issues. So
Yeah, so right now, with the infrastructure the way it is, it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole. So, you know, problem solved here, another one pops up over here. Once, you know, hopefully this goes through, and once everything has been upgraded, it's gonna be a lot easier for the techs to go in and find out like, oh, the problem is definitely the modem, or the problem is on the drop coming in, or it's a bigger issue, maybe it's something at the node that we need to take a look at. Because right now, you know, the problems are kind of floating around, like I said, whack-a-mole. But once we have, you know, better infrastructure, better monitoring, better everything across the board, the troubleshooting process is going to be a lot easier.
I don't have policy about supposed to be fixing it. Not,
Some of the current problems though that I've seen and that current deployment of modems is seeing when people try to turn on their modems is that Spectrum has installed line filters on a lot of lines in this park because of noise.
Yes, they have.
There's a lot of feedback noise. And I talked to a cell tech just the other day and he said, I'm spending most of my time going on and removing these line filters. And I said, next year when everybody has internet, all the line filters got to come off.
Yep.
That's going to greatly increase the noise level. And he said that affects the nodes.
It absolutely does. Yeah.
I'm just curious how you're going to, I mean, yeah, you're going to change the infrastructure, but it seems to me that by taking all the filtering off,
Mhm.
the noise level goes way up. And I don't know how you deal with that. So
I was gonna say, we can talk about that after, but it's magic. It's magic.
All right, D 165, if I have Spectrum Internet at home in Zealand, can I use the app? Yes.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You said you're gonna replace some of the lines.
Mhm.
Some people, you said it was gonna be all fiber optic, but
It's a combination. It's a combination. So
why are we paying for this improvement if some people aren't gonna get the improvement?
if there's no problems with the coax that's in use today, then it's not going to be replaced just for the sake of it. If there are problems, then yeah, by all means, we're going to.
I just thought the whole premise about this upgrade was to make it better with fiber optic and
Oh, it is.
the coax.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. Yeah. So
We're just gonna pay more for the same thing.
no, absolutely not. So a big part of the upgrade. Yeah, no, definitely. So big part of the upgrade is it's not just the coax, but all the fiber is the infrastructure that's, you know, coming from the head end over down to the nodes that supply all the internet, all the video services. And then from there it goes out to coax. And so what we're doing is bringing in dozens of miles of additional fiber to be able to support all of it. Once it comes into the park, then it converts out into coax. Because I personally don't have a television that knows fiber. And so what those nodes do is they convert it into signals for all the other devices to be able to use.
The
I hope that makes
majority,
sense.
when we say new infrastructure, again, what we talked about earlier is the park has 2 nodes that is trying to service all of this, right? We need to add 6 additional nodes to get up to speed to where we need to be from a service level. And in order to connect in there, yes, you're gonna have some fiber optic, you're gonna have some cable, but if it's not needed, if you have something that's already been replaced that meets the level that we're trying to get to, then it doesn't make sense to rip it out and do it again. That is gonna stay.
And new modems and things like that. So the new modems are probably the biggest improvement in many ways.
Yeah, fair point.
Definitely.
If the line gets cut that has never been buried
Mhm.
across the green area, like mine, who's gonna replace that?
We're responsible for maintaining it.
We will.
I'm responsible, I'm not
We are.
responsible.
We are.
We are responsible for maintaining all the lines.
Because it never got buried. It goes across the green area, and I don't know where it comes from, but it's a long ways away.
We're responsible for that. We should be doing that.
Connection is. Okay, so that's gonna be replaced with up until my connection at the house is gonna be replaced to
Not
a
necessarily.
higher speed or a better quality, or is it gonna be the
So-
old cable that I could buy at the hardware store?
Don't use that, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. So the coax that we're using is specifically designed for that purpose. So if you're not having any problems today, what we're gonna do is probably come through and vary it so that, you know, it's not getting tripped over or whatever. And to be honest with you, it probably should have been varied by now, but there's only a limited number of people, or a limited number of techs. And so, you know, they're working their way through it as quickly as they can. But part of the project is going to be cleaning up any noise issues, like Andy had said, burying any lines, upgrading existing infrastructure, things like that.
Okay, we're down to the last two. Hello, I'm wondering how the increase in cost of the cable and internet is going to be charged to members. Will this be dues? We've already spoken about that. It's going to be assessment. The last one, how can I stream Spectrum at the park? I think we've addressed that one as well. All right, I like it. There's one more. Please give me a menu for channels, and we would like channel 13 out of Grand Rapids back.
Yeah.
So
Is that this one?
So there will be a channel guide, and I don't know about channel 13. We'll be looking into that specifically because it is from Grand Rapids.
Yep, channel 13 WCCM is on the list.
All right,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
there we go.
Channel 13 WCCM is on the list.
That's
Channel.
easier than I thought. Okay, cool.
Are we gonna have a guide?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you'll have a guide. Okay, I would like to, do you have anything?
Just a quick comment about the guide. So during the last meeting, it came to my attention that the guide right now is not accurate. That will also be addressed as well. What happens is a lot of channels get changed, and then the equipment in the head end isn't updated, things like this, because it is a manual process right now. So with the new Spectrum app, with the new set-top boxes, the guide that's presented will be updated as things are changed out.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank Buckley and Ryan for their time. We're gonna wrap up. We have to do a changeover, get ready for the board meeting here. Again, there's packets of information here, member service, public safety. Please pick up, continue to ask the questions, and I always have an open door policy. Stop in. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.